We look at a world plagued by poverty and conflict, and our first instinct is to point outward. We blame corrupt politicians, failing economies, or flawed social systems for the misery around us. Yet ancient texts from across the globe point the finger in the opposite direction. They ignore external politics to identify a single universal culprit, the internal human ego. These traditions define the ego as a superimposition, a false layer of identity that suffocates the original light. It operates by convincing you that I and mine are tied strictly to your physical body, your possessions, and your status. As long as this false layer dictates behavior, external attempts to fix society remain ineffective. We cannot construct a peaceful world out of individuals who are quietly at war within themselves. The process of dismantling this internal antagonist begins with recognizing the illusion. For this, we look to the 108 Upanishads, which describe how we inadvertently enslave ourselves. In verse 128, the text provides a striking metaphor. The human spirit, by degenerating into egoism, passes voluntarily into bondage, exactly like a silkworm weaving its own cocoon. No one forces the thread. We spin it ourselves through our own cravings. The Upanishads then describe the ego-driven human as a lion in chains. We possess immense natural strength, yet we remain paralyzed, trapped in a net of our own imaginings. You cannot escape a prison if you refuse to admit you are in one. Acknowledging that these constraints are self-imposed is the mandatory first step toward any spiritual recovery. Once you realize you are trapped, you must break the chains. This requires engaging in what the texts describe as an internal war. This emblem represents the duality of the human self. In The Goal of the Wise, Jesus commands followers to deny yourself, while Prophet Muhammad calls this struggle the greatest jihad. Imam Ali reinforces this, teaching that every person's true devil is their ego. This internal war follows specific rules. It is a constant battle between what the text called the good self and the evil self, where one must eventually surrender to the other. Every decision determines the victor. Speaking maliciously, acting on greed, or indulging in forbidden behaviors provides nourishment to the evil self. To weaken it, you must actively starve it. True spiritual warfare isn't fought on a battlefield. It's a daily process of starving your darkest impulses, denying them the attention they need to grow. As the ego is starved, it must be replaced by selfless action. This is step 3, radical altruism. The Goal of the Wise sets a definitive operational standard. You must actively prefer others over your own self. The mental reflex must switch to a strict rule of my brother first, my sister first. The texts suggest that if this self-denial becomes a shared practice, the shadows of the world naturally retreat. Poverty and hunger simply cannot survive in a world where every individual prioritizes the person next to them. This creates a difficult paradox. How do you provide for a family in the modern world without feeding the ego's demand for success and ambition? This excerpt from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita provides the solution. You must act but completely abandon the personal rewards of your actions. This is karma yoga, performing your duty perfectly because it is right, while remaining detached from the outcome. Living the Gita emphasizes that true seekers perform their daily tasks and sacrifices without a single thought of reward. They contribute to their communities and then immediately let go of the result. Spiritual practice does not require you to retreat from society. It requires you to participate fully in the world while remaining immune to the personal gain or loss that usually drives human behavior. The final test is absolute humility. Look at this sea of people in Mecca, representing submission where individuality dissolves. To reach this state, you cannot point out another's fault until you have completely eradicated that exact same fault within yourself. Contentment is secured through a simple mental discipline. Always look at those who have less than you, and refuse to look at those who have more. A truly humble person is immune to the ego's traps. By removing themselves from the hierarchy of comparison and pride, they find a state of existence that is essentially unbreakable. According to the Bihar al-Anwar, this humility is not a weakness. It is one of the mighty acts of worship. the highest honor for one who recognizes their place in the universe. Dismantling the ego means breaking out of the cocoon to realize the spirit's original form. It is the end of a self-imposed imprisonment. By systematically stripping away the false layers of identity, the individual finds their own liberation. As the internal war against the ego is won, the primary drivers of external human misery finally lose their power.